Welcome back to another instant reaction video. You guys know, like I said yesterday, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't something big. Well, we just got a big time commitment from Izayia Williams, 4-star linebacker out of Leesburg Tavares High School, top number 53 recruit in the 247 composite rankings. Before we get into this, though, I got to make sure to tell you guys to like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out all the other content we have on the channel. Live streams will be Sunday, 7 o'clock. Big time things happening. Spring practice started today. Basketball's in full swing. We're in March Madness. But let's get into this commitment from Izayia Williams. Tyler, what do you think about this commitment?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice start for the 2026 class. Only 3 commits so far. He's pretty far and away the highest rated of them. We'll see. I mean, it's like with these early commits, it's hard to get too high or like too high when you get a guy or too low when you miss on a guy because you just don't know how things are going to play out, who you'll be able to circle back with. For what it's worth, he said he's shutting down his commitment, which is or his recruitment, which is nice to see for a guy who's now committed to his 4th program. Was previously committed to Louisville, Syracuse, and Florida State for brief periods of time, but says he's shutting things down now. So we'll see if he sticks around with the Gators. But a really good player. Watching his film, I'm pretty impressed. I think he can fit in a lot of different ways. Like we talked about it off air, but like the thing that stands out to me the most is how versatile he is. Like a guy that they had play all over the field in high school, had him coming off the edge, had him playing off ball in coverage and in spies, had him, rushing up the middle while playing off the ball. So like he can kind of do it all. Seems to be pretty good against both the run and pass. I think Florida pretty clearly likes to have versatile linebackers. The way they use them within their scheme. So in that sense, I think he's a really good fit and kind of seems like a guy who could maybe contribute early on just because there's so many different places that he could contribute.
Yeah, no, made the small comparison while we were talking off air of Micah Parsons and Harold Perkins. I mean, On3 has Izayia Williams as a 13th ranked player. Now, composite, he's 53rd, which is still really good. So I'm not going to complain about that. Obviously, I think I know Perkins was a top 5 player. Parsons, I think, was also a 5-star. So we'll see how Williams plays out. To give us a little bit of a assurance about this commitment from Izayia Williams, you already talked about how this is his 4th commitment, committing to Louisville at first, then Syracuse, and then to FSU, and now to Florida. He is someone from Leesburg, which is an hour and a half away from Gainesville. So Florida is that home school. I think it's something that if Florida hadn't struggled throughout the season, 2023 and 2024 season, he may be someone that once Florida offered, he would have committed right away. So I do think that's something we can look out for or can have hope that he does stick out for these remaining, 9 months until he can sign in December.
Yeah, but I was like whatever concerns I have about him sticking or the recruitment being shut down, it really doesn't even have to do with the fact that this is his 4th school. It's kind of just the nature of the recruiting game now. We saw it with Dallas Wilson. A team will come in late and make a really strong offer. But yeah, I think that's a fair analysis. Close, very close to Gainesville. A guy that seems like probably wanted to be a Gator. We saw that with a lot of guys last year, like guys that pretty clearly wanted to be Gators, but were sort of waiting out the situation to see what happened with Billy Napier and what happened with the second half of the season. So, I think it's kind of the same way. I think if Florida comes out and has the season that we both hope it does and think it can, that, you're probably in good position, not only for Izayia Williams, but for a lot of other guys you probably want to add to this 2026 class.
Yeah, we talked about it on the stream. The video of it is going to be released tomorrow, I believe. What is the potential of this 2026 recruiting class? Getting guys like Izayia Williams this early on is really what increases that potential. I talked about how in that 2023 class or 2024 class, where we had that amazing start going into the season, we're 2nd sometime before the season. And, the fall of the football team during the 2023 football season ended up being what caused the collapse of that class. If we can get into a similar spot we were back then going into that 2023 year, I think we can really keep it up and get that top 5 class that we were discussing that we hope we can have, which really a lot of people right now are kind of buying into Florida because of Lagway, not Napier. But if Napier can start bringing in those top 5 classes, even better, hopefully, then people will start saying, okay, Napier is the real deal, and it's not just Lagway. And even if it's just the QB, we're still bringing in guys like Will Griffin, and maybe we'll see who else we bring in the future at QB. Don't want to discredit Tramel Jones either, 4-star kid, so that's a good recruit there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you make a good point that Florida did have some momentum on the trail with Billy Napier sort of earlier on in his tenure, kind of, with that, what that 2023 class was at one point, with the collapse to end that season and sort of the not incredible vibes this offseason leading into a rough start to the 2024 season. Like, you lost a lot of that momentum. I'm not sure you're back quite to where you were when you were landing all those guys in the 2023 class, a lot of which didn't end up sticking around. But I think this is the closest that Florida's been. And like I said, I mean, there's a big opportunity here because I think you're getting guys to buy into the idea, the proof of concept. You just got to go out and show it. Like, if Florida goes out and has a 9-10 win season and makes the playoffs, like, I think the sky's the limit, because I think I've said this before, like, there's nothing, it doesn't really seem like there's anything structurally that's keeping the Gators from competing for these guys. Like, I'm not saying they're up to par with the best of the best in terms of NIL, but they're good enough to be competitive. They're good enough to be a real contender for pretty much anyone they're going after. Obviously they got to prioritize, like, when they prioritize a guy like Dallas Wilson, they can make it happen. So, like, to me, the ball is completely in the Gators' court and Billy Napier's court specifically, because if he goes out and has the kind of year that he can't, that, we all expect, and that he probably needs to have to keep his job. Like, again, I'm kind of repeating myself, but, like, there's really no reason to think this doesn't have the ceiling of a top 5 class, or maybe even better.
Yeah, because we talk about Izayia Williams, 53rd ranked player in the 247 composite. We're looking at who could be next for the Gators. Well, just the other day, like 3 or 4 days ago, the Gators got a Fong bomb for Naeem Burrows, who was like a top 10 player at the All-American game as a junior. He's the number 60. I think he's the 60th ranked player in the 247 composite.
Yep.
So he's someone else who's really high on that board. Another near elite receiver. I mean, we saw it today from the practice clips of Vernell Brown, Dallas Wilson, Nashawn Montgomery, all those guys. They're looking like they could be those guys that are those next Florida wide receivers that, they're going to the draft. They're being first, second, third round draft picks that everybody's talking about.
Yeah, Burrows, Jacksonville kid. I'm always going to love that. Goes to Bowls, which is a pretty strong local private school football program. They've produced, oh my gosh, why can't I remember his name? Oops, and I just removed you from the stage. Sorry.
That's fine.
Why? Jack Pyburn. Sorry, completely blanked on Jack Pyburn's name for a second. Jack Pyburn went to Bowls.
That's fine.
Previously Mac Jones. Yeah, we can forget about Jack. He's out of the brain now. We've moved on from Jack Pyburn. Mac Jones went to Bowls too. So pretty strong program. Pretty highly rated guy. Good measurables. Like, I think it'd be a really nice add to this class. Like, especially with the 2 elite receivers Florida brought in 2024. I think really potentially the makings of a very strong 2025 receiver class, or sorry, 2026 receiver class.
Absolutely. I want to thank you guys for watching the video. If you stayed to the end, make sure you guys do like the video and subscribe to the channel. We will be live Sunday night. We already talked about so much stuff to discuss. And as always, go Gators.